I think over the last few years, some of these disc detainer lock companies, which make bike locks and motorbike locks, are starting to listen to a lot of the lock sporters and of how to increase the security of the actual locking system there. Now, of course, you've got the sort of, I don't know, the physical attacks, which I'm not really sort of going to go into too much really, because I'm more about the actual lock manipulation myself. It's that's what's kind of fascinates me with locks. But going back probably about 2 or 3 years ago, you would find that the first disc would always be a zero cut, which is very easy to tension off, and of course, even with false gates in the actual rest of the disc, which very few of the cheaper locks had, you could pretty much open these really easily, actually, even with the cheap Chinese disc detainer picks. But of course, now Sparrows have actually come up with theirs. Obviously, it's a lot more readily available, and the precision on this is actually quite good, although it's quite tricky to kind of work when you're having to manipulate different discs to actually get the open. But at the end of the day, you can get it to work. So of course, it's I thought I'd go through the technique that I use, and just to go through some of the clarifications as you go through the disc to make sure that you've actually got all the discs right before you actually use this counter rotation method. The lock is actually a bit clunky. Actually, it's a brand new lock, but it's sometimes, yeah, you go. Sometimes you just got to kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle to actually get it open. But all in all, yeah, not a bad little lock, certainly for this demonstration. So of course, we're going to use the new disc turner from Matt's Lock Pit, which I'll leave a link in the description to this video. And of course, we're going to make sure that we rotate all the discs clockwise as far as they will go. Now, of course, with the Sparrows disc detainer pick, we're going to make sure that we actually put the picking tip right to the bottom there, and of course we need to make sure that we pick up on disc number 1. Now, I like to make sure that we can actually get through all the discs comfortably there, to make sure there's no friction there, as you can see. So of course, now we're down the bottom there, we're going to start with disc number 7, which disc number 7's there. Now, disc number 7 is still loose, disc number 6 is binding. I'm just going to give it a bit of rotation there. Okay, got a nice little click on 7. Now I like to just make sure that we've actually got that into the gate. As you can see, we've got a lot of play in that, so I'm quite happy that that's actually in the correct gate. Disc number 5 still loose. Disc number 4 is actually binding. Okay, got a nice little click out of 4 there. And got plenty of movement on that disc now as well, so that's in the true gate. Disc number 3 is actually binding. Okay, nice little click there. Once again, you can actually hear it as well. You can actually hear there's just no friction there at all. It's actually in the true gate. Disc number 2 we know is a zero cut, but once again we've got good play there as well. So disc number 2 is fine, disc number 3 is fine, disc number 4 is fine, disc number 5 is binding now. Okay, got a nice little click out of 5. Plenty of play in that disc now. Disc number 6 is fine, disc number 7 is binding. Okay, just got number 7 there. You actually saw the tensioner move there as well there. So we've actually got all the discs set now, apart from the disc we're tensioning off. So I'm just going to go back through and just to make sure, which is always advisable, just go back through and just check each disc. Nice, you can hear the nice sort of free play in there as well. It's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And of course, that's disc number 2, which is fine as well. So all those discs are free play and they're all in the right gate. So now we need to get hold of the 0 disc, which in this log, as you've ascertained, is actually disc number 2. So we're just going to apply heavy tension on disc number 2 and then just counter rotate. Make sure I'm just going to get this comfortable there. So we've got disc number 2 there, and then just counter rotate this back. You'll hear a click. We've got the click there, so and we just have to go back through, and of course we can get that open. As you can see, the lock is now open. So once again, I think that if you just go through nice and steady, just go through each disc, the actual discs do tend to give you quite a lot of feedback, certainly in this standard of lock. And then just go back through and just sort of give each disc a little wiggle, just to make sure you hear that sort of nice sort of loose sort of feel about it, and to make sure it actually stops in a same sort of way. It's normally about sort of 2 to 3 millimeters. And then just go back through each of the discs, and when you're happy that each disc is actually in the true gate, then find your 0 disc, counter rotate your tension in disc, and of course, as you can see, we can get this open with the Sparrows disc detainer pick as well there. So listen guys, hope that helped everybody. Have a great day. Thanks ever so much for your time. Please subscribe, and of course I'll catch up with you again very shortly. Thanks guys.